Hello, kind stranger. How have you been? Thanks for joining us today. The palace is particularly silent today. Servants are locked up in the kitchen, cooking meals from whatever food is available therein. Queens sit in the bedroom with their toddlers. Maid servants are sent home early today. Everyone is instructed to stay inside the boundaries of the palace. There's an attack on Mandav, one of the wealthiest villages in the West India. The soldiers have bade goodbye to their wives and hugged their children. They don't know when they would see their families next, or if they'd see them ever. The king of Mandav has re-dyed his armor. Do you have to go? Soldiers can fight for you instead. Mandavi, the princess, had pleaded. I have to go. I have to stay in the front line, dear. They need me more today. He had kissed her on her forehead and left. Mandavi had looked in his direction long after he was out of sight. She had prayed, her lips quivering with anxiety. It's been 2 days since that. Soldiers are giving a tough fight on the border. There seem to be large army on the other side. We'll give our best, King says. But his tone has lost its usual tenacity. Probably the best wouldn't be enough this time. He thinks of Mandavi, all the joyful times with her back at the palace. He recalls her anxious face, bidding him a goodbye the last time he had seen her, and goes on with the battle. Back in the palace, little Mandavi can't sit still. She finds a way to come out of the room she was told to stay locked in. Avoiding the guards, she comes out in the garden. Aged 5, she's a vivacious young girl who loves everyone in the palace, but is loved back by only her father. Her mother has been dead since her birth, and her stepmothers haven't been so kind to her. Her best friend is her father, who she doesn't see often, but thinks about all day. She plucks a red rose from the garden for her father. This has been her ritual since she grew up. She'd pluck the flower and sit on her father's lap every evening. Placing the flower in her palms, she'd bring them close to the king's face and wait for his reaction. It used to be the same every day. He'd take a deep breath and say, "This is what heaven must smell like, Mandavi." She looks around, far in the distance. She sees elephants walking in, big triumphant elephants, sounds of the trumpets and drums, of people cheering, inching their way into the city. Her eyes widen. They don't seem to hold the flags of Mandav. She runs to the queens and tells them about it. They look worried. There has been no message from the royal messenger yet. Have the enemies won? Mandavi is still looking. A few wounded soldiers came rushing in the palace. They bang on the doors to alert everyone, and Mandavi runs down the stairs to the soldiers in the hope to hear about her father. Seeing her, the marshal turns around to look at the other soldiers. Their gaze searches the ground. They are not able to gather courage to face the princess. But Mandavi now knows it's over. Soldiers do not know how to break the news to her, but she looks at them and smiles. She's fighting back her tears. She hands over the rose as her father's words ring in her ears. I'm sure heaven is a good place, Mandavi says. He used to praise it every evening. I'm sure he will love it there. In the next episode, we'll tell a story about how often in your lives you come across certain strangers, totally unknown to your knowledge, whom you've never met in person, yet how deeply they affect. To be continued for the next time. Till then, Tata, see you and take good care.